Hi there, YouTube. Welcome to my garden. Welcome to the first garden tour I've ever done. Sorry if I'm a little bit flustered, but we just tried to record this and my microphone wasn't on. So literally this is the second time we're going through all of this. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys everything in the front yard and the side grass pathway. And then probably in part two, we'll do this side of our home and the backyard. This video is probably going to be pretty long since it's the first garden tour I've ever done, and I really want to introduce you guys to everything that's planted here. So let's start over here. We have a half dozen of purple tidal wave petunias right here. Yeah, the goal is to have this pretty purple color all the way down the front and all the way around the corner. This right here is a bearded iris. I'm not going to go through the varieties right now because they're not in bloom yet, so it really doesn't matter. They're all going to look the same. Back here we have some Nicotiana watercolor mixes, and we have one gladiola that just happened to make it through the winter, which is crazy because they are definitely not a perennial in our zone. But we had a whole batch of them here and we have one to show for it. I think this might be one. Yeah, this is one too. It's just smaller. It's just got like really small leaves, but that's another one. Yeah, two little gladiolas made it through the winter. We have this grass right here, which I love the movement of this grass and how big it's getting. We put this in from a landscaper plug, and it's doing really, really well. I don't know what the variety name is because we purchased it very early on in our garden journey, but it's pretty nonetheless. Towards the back of this bed, we have a hedge of boxwoods. On the corners, we have the Green Mountain boxwoods, which will be a cone. And in the centers, we have the green velvet boxwood. The green velvet's bronze in the winter time, but they end up being a really nice contrast to the green mountain boxwood. If you want a boxwood that's gonna stay green all year round, definitely try the green mountain boxwood. You can use this as a cone. You could trim it down to be a hedge. You can use it for just about anything, and it's definitely my favorite type of boxwood. If I were to probably have done this all over again, I probably would have done only green mountain boxwoods. We have a couple more green velvets right here, which one was pruned at the improper time, which is why it's got so much deadness on it, yellowness on it. This one is also exposed to full sun, which is why it burned so badly. Whereas this one over here really didn't get burned that badly, just in this portion right over here. But it was my first year pruning boxwoods. I didn't really know what I was doing and obviously did not prune them at the right time. Lesson learned. We have a Veronica over here. We have a bee enjoying that. We have a quick fire hydrangea right here. It's the most earliest blooming hydrangea that there is. And in the center right here, we have a Little Kim Rose of Sharon hibiscus, which I want to say this is a white flower with a little bit of a magenta-y color in the center. In front of that, we have an Incredible blush hydrangea right here. This is its second year in the ground, and we did it from a landscape plug as well, which is why it's so tiny. Over here, we have some lupin that were absolutely beautiful this season. They've gone to seed now, and I'm letting them. Because lupin aren't a very long-lived perennial, I want these to create a colony here, and hopefully we'll have lupin for a really, really long time. They smelled really good too. I had no idea that they smelled exactly like grape soda, but they really, really do. Next to that, we have a barberry right here. In the springtime, this is completely red. And then in the growing season, it gets a little bit of green to it, which I really like. I feel like it kind of has a two-toned effect to it. Beside that, we have more Nicotiana. I really sprinkled Nicotiana through this entire bed, very willy-nilly. I'm hoping that it kind of reseeds. I've heard that it can reseed, so that's what I'm hoping for out of it. And then we get into just a couple more bearded irises. I have a red geum right here, which this is its first year blooming. I'm so excited. It's a very tiny bloom, but it's pretty. That color is really, really pretty. We have dianthus, and then we get into the Rudbeckia. I have two different types of Rudbeckia. I think one is called Prairie Glow, which is a yellow with a green center. And then we have Sahara, which is my personal favorite variety of Rudbeckia. It's a super double fluffy Rudbeckia that comes in a red, a brown, and like a yellow color. It screams fall to me, and they just last a really, really long time. Our Rudbeckia are already in bloom over in the grass pathway. I'll show you that towards the end of this video. And they literally stay in bloom for the longest amount of time. Those blooms just stay looking fresh for like over a month, over 2 months, literally they will look good. You don't even have to cut them back. I love Rudbeckia, which is why we did them throughout this whole front of the space. In the center of them, we did red cone flowers, which I grew from seed. This is the only one that has really bloomed thus far, and that does not look like red to me. It looks like maroon with yellow in it, and the cone is very weird looking. I'm hoping that this is what it said on the packet, because it's not really looking like it, and it's starting to concern me a little bit. We have some little boxwoods right here. I cannot remember the variety name, but they only get to be about 3 by 3 feet tall and wide. And we did that to cover up this stone, because this stone is kind of orangey, and I feel like it clashes with the gray stone that we've used for the rest of our landscape. So hopefully these will just kind of cover it up. This area looks a mess to me. Oh, I almost fell in a hole. This area looks a mess to me, and I've been talking to Matt about how we're gonna redo this. When we first moved in, this was planted up with grape hyacinth, which is so pretty in the spring. It's literally a sea of purple. They smell so good too, but they have this grassy foliage, which literally just looks like grass growing up through your flower beds, and it just looks so messy throughout the entire year that I'm gonna rip them all out. They're also really, really productive, so they will multiply heavily. This whole bed is filled with them. So we're gonna take them all out. We have some Rocky Mountain penstemon that's just kind of seeded themselves. It's pretty much a weed here, which I kind of have to say I feel blessed about that our weeds are so pretty, but like our weeds are penstemon and sunflowers in Colorado, literally. I can't complain about that, but I do want to take it all out, make this clean, and then I'm going to plant this up with hydrangeas. I have a standard hydrangea for the center, and then we're going to do hydrangeas all the way around it, so it's kind of a 2-tiered hydrangea layer cake. And I think I'm going to keep this peony, because this peony is a coral charm peony, and it's really, really pretty. More Nicotiana. This is our forsythia. I think it's called the Northern Gold Forsythia, and it blooms first out of anything else in the landscape. Like if you want something in your landscape that's gonna bloom before anything else in your neighborhood, get a forsythia. And this one, literally, we got blooms on this for over a month this year. Normally the blooms are pretty fleeting. They only last about a week or two, but this year was a really good year for the forsythia. In front of that, we have some blue fescue grass, which some of them are not looking so well, but I grew them from seed, so it's not a big loss at all. More wave petunias right here. We had a wave petunia literally reseed itself from last year, and it's doing well, and I don't know how it is because there's no water getting to it other than maybe some from this drip line right here. But other than that, oh, and that's like right on top of that plant. Other than that, I don't know how that's living because petunias are water hogs. Another bearded iris, and that's pretty much it for this bed right here. Oh yeah, and then there's one other thing in this bed. We have a Vanessa Bell rose right here, which is flanking the walkway. We have another one on this side, which you guys can see what the difference is. One is alive and one is dead. So I'm gonna have to contact David Austin because they have a 5-year guarantee on their roses, and hopefully we can get a replacement for that one. Hasn't bloomed yet. I don't know if I have it in just a little bit too much shade. As you guys can see, there is a tree canopy right above it. But I really, really wanted some roses up here, so we're giving it a try. We'll see how it goes. If you never try, you'll never know. Okay, so now for this corner bed. We have more boxwoods right here. A hydrangea, which this is the Macrophylla hydrangea, which it was the first thing I purchased when I moved into this property, and I didn't really know much about hydrangeas then. I've learned a lot since then. This is not the right hydrangea for my area. This one normally gets all of the blooms frozen off very early on in the season, so it never blooms. So I need to just take it out and haven't yet. This urn right here is filled with petunias that I purchased because honestly, we had pansies in here and I grew them from seed. They just looked so good for so long that I'd planted up everything that I grew from seed and just kind of forgot about this container. So this is kind of just here. These are easy wave petunias, which is why they're not really filling up the pot. You'll see in my other garden tour for next time for the backyard when I show all those containers, the tidal wave and the shock wave do a lot better than this one. More bearded irises. You guys are seeing a lot of repeated elements here. We have some milkweed right here. We have a clematis growing on the garden fence. We put this garden fence in because this is a corner and dogs would just come into this bed and pee on everything. If anybody knows anything about corners, there's something about them. Dogs just run straight to the corner and pee. So yeah, and the other weird thing is that we had people kind of walking into our garden beds, which living on a corner was not anything that I really ever had planned. It's quite exposed and you get a lot of traffic. But with that, we get tons of compliments on our garden, which is really, really nice. I feel like a lot of people garden and nobody ever even sees it. People garden behind gates, fences, and stuff like that, but this is really, really nice that people appreciate it. And we live right next to an elementary school, so there's just tons of traffic here all the time. Right here, we have an agastache. This is the raspberry daiquiri one. I grew that from seed. We have some foxgloves right here. And then creeping phlox, more petunias to round out the corner. And then this potentilla has done so well. We got this at the Botanical Gardens in Fort Collins. They have like a sale every single year for charity, and we purchased this. It was just a tiny little plug, and it's like got the prettiest yellow flowers on it. And I like the shape of the leaves. They're really interesting. And this is its first year of really putting on some height for us, which I'm really, really enjoying. But yeah, that's pretty much this corner bed right here. Flanking the walkway, we have two Nicotianas right here. We have some Dusty Millers that are kind of mixed in. We have some white impatiens that I grew from seed that are not doing the best. And we have these mums, which these are just the regular garden center mums. Matt wanted to put them in the ground after we used them one year for decoration. And they've come back every single year very reliably. They're not my favorite thing because I feel like they bloom so late in the season. Like literally it's September before we're getting mum blooms on there. So it's just like this the rest of the time. And I feel like we can do something a lot better than that. But he chops these back once a season. Now's about the time to do it when they start to develop their buds so that we can get the blooms right around September, October when you would traditionally want mum blooms. But yeah, they're in the ground right now. They may get moved somewhere else. I'm really not sure what we're gonna do with them yet. We have a blue star juniper right here. More petunias. This is such an underrated plant right here. This is sedge. I love it. It's such a basic plant, but all you have to do is cut this back once in the season. It flushes back with new fresh growth, and this limey color is so good. And in the wind, it looks really, really nice. We have our Jackmanii clematis growing on the discrete trellis that I created. It's holding up really well, and it's alive. Something is eating it, but it is definitely alive, and there's a spider there too. I'll let you guys just have a glimpse of our containers right here. That's all you guys are gonna get in this video. I'm not really gonna go through them. They're pretty, but we'll go through that in a whole video dedicated just to all the containers. Danica arborvitae right here, which just stays really, really, really small. I think it's just so cute having the little of an evergreen right there. It's just adorable. We have some red gems right here. A My Monet Woodgilla by Proven Winners. These are pillar barberries. I think they're called Sunjoy barberries from Proven Winners. They have such a nice limey color, but they are kind of like splaying out a little bit. They're not really giving me like pillar. They're giving me like blob. So I feel like I'm gonna have to do some pruning on it, but I love them. We have a bloomerang lilac right here, more heuchera. And then we have a swoop of those red cone flowers that, there's another one of the blooms, and it's like red with like, it's got like orange on it. It's such a weird looking color. This was supposed to be like solid red cone flowers. And the cones are so big and the petals are so small. I don't know if it's because it's its first year. We just grew them from seed, not sure. This Woodgilla, I don't know the name of it. Super dark. Love the color of those leaves. We have our tree phantom hydrangea right here. This is probably my favorite thing in our landscape. It is absolutely beautiful. It has these white flowers on them that are kind of like wide. Like the panicles on this hydrangea are very wide and not like super pointy. It's such a pretty hydrangea. Underneath it, we have some Casablanca lilies, and we have some pretty woman lilies in the back, which are tree lilies. These will get to be so tall. They get to be like 6 feet tall, literally. So they'll like poke up through and come way up here and be super pretty, and they smell amazing. This little area right here pretty much got ate up by squirrels. So there was a lot of coleus. You can see lots of holes. There were things here, they're not anymore. These squirrels literally will take the plant out the hole, run up the tree with them, and then drop it from the tree branch. Like I literally just see plants just dropping from the tree branch. It's not good. We have a curly fry hosta right here. Beside that, there's some columbine. In front of that is Legend of the Smalls Fothergilla. And then we have some bleeding hearts right here. And this is the area that really got decimated by the squirrels. Do you see all these holes? Like, do you, like, literally, I didn't know squirrels could do this. Like, we've had squirrels here since we moved in. We've always had tons of squirrels. With these big, giant, mature honey locust trees, they're my favorite things that were on the property. They provide such nice shade, but they also bring in tons of squirrels. Like, I always see squirrels throughout these trees. I had no idea squirrels could do this, though. Like, all you can see are the Virginia. They left the Virginias alone, but literally every single heuchera we planted, it's gone. And there was at least probably 20 heucheras in this bed, so that's a little devastating. And I grew them from seed, so. On this side of the walkway, we have a hosta, which I grew from bare root in a mixed pack, so I don't know the variety name. More lime heucheras right here. And then we have this limelight hydrangea, which I grew this from a landscaper plug. And this is its 3rd year. And it's really just now starting to give us some blooms. Look at that. So pretty. And I'm so excited with how much growth it's put on this year. It really did leap. This was its 3rd year and it did leap. Let's just ignore that. Don't even, no. No. Let's focus on this. This container right here looks really, really good. This is the Tidal Wave Silver Petunia. It's probably my favorite petunia as far as performance goes. It just blooms and blooms and blooms, and they get so large. There's some Dichondra Emerald Falls in there that isn't really falling yet. And then there's some coleus. It's turned out really, really pretty, though. Then behind that, we have a Karen azalea, which has put on a ton of growth this year, and it bloomed the most beautiful pink blooms ever. This was really, really nice because I feel like you don't see azaleas in Colorado. Like, azaleas are really normally a zone 6 through 9 plant, I think. We're zone 5B, so it was a stretch, but I found this one, and it's hardy, and it's doing really, really well. And it reminds me of home because I'm originally from Mississippi, and all you see in the South are beautiful azaleas. On this side of the bed, we have a hellebore. And then we have a weeping Norway spruce right here. And this kind of leads us to my favorite part of our backyard. This grass pathway is absolutely stunning. Most of it is flowers, and I grew almost all of it from seed. When I say it's brought in tons of butterflies, it's literally the one area of the landscape that I feel like looks like how I envisioned it to look like. I'm really, really proud of this area, and it's the one that I developed the most recent. So this will kind of give you a glimpse of what we can do here and what we're gonna be doing going forward. But let's start all the way in the corner back here, because there are just a couple of plants over here to show. We have a field of heuchera right here that I grew from seed as well. There's a couple that are gone, but most of this patch made it. It's not like the other side where they took literally every single plant, but I'm not gonna say I have much hope for it because just give them time. Then we have coleus over here. They're doing pretty good. And they are giving us a little bit of color in this area, which is highly shady. Up above, we have these mature honey locust trees, which came with the property. These are my absolute favorite thing that came with the property. These trees are so big and mature. It makes working up here in the front yard a pleasure because there's this nice dappled shade. Honey locusts also provide like, not a dense shade, it's like a dappled shade. You can grow things underneath it. It doesn't make it dark. It's a really nice tree. Thank you. It's a really, really, really nice tree though. When I say we get compliments on our yard all the time, we get compliments on our yard all the time. It is so refreshing. When we moved to this property, living on a corner was not like something that I ever envisioned for myself. It's really exposed. You get a lot of traffic here, particularly because we're right next door to an elementary school. And so there's just like tons and tons and tons of traffic at our property at all times. Oh my God. My microphone wasn't on the entire time.
Are you kidding?
Then we have coleus over here. They're doing pretty good. We have some foxglove and some nicotiana. We have this dogwood tree, which this is its first season in the ground. I planted it last year, but it was towards the end of the season, so I really consider this its like real first growing season, if that makes sense. This is a summer gold dogwood, which, look at these leaves. They literally look like a watercolor painting to me. This is a columnar dogwood, so it's not gonna get very, very wide at all. I wanna say it's only gonna get about like 4 feet wide, and I think it only gets to be 12 feet tall, so it's perfect for this space. Gets nice big white blooms like the Kusa dogwood, and the fall color is what really sold me on this. It turns like this magenta color, and it keeps this watercolor variegation. So just imagine it being variegated like that, but with like a maroon coloring. Okay, so now let's go through my favorite area. So we have a couple of black swan poppies that have reseeded themselves from last year, which I'm so glad about because I did not get a chance to put my poppy seeds out when I wanted to, so this is what I have. We have this patch of irises right here. These bloomed and they were absolutely gorgeous. We've had these for a year, so they're pretty established. A lot of the irises I put in just this year, so like the ones that are kind of dotted around in the beds, those are brand new. I've never even gotten to see them bloom, but when they do, trust me, you guys will get a tour, and I'll be sure to give you guys all the names of them. We have a perennial snapdragon right there. Normally it's blooming in a maroon color with a white center. It's called day and night salvia. No, it's not salvia, snapdragon. But yeah, that's that. Next to that, we have some chamomile, some larkspur. There's a willow, a dappled willow that looks a little crunchy. I don't know why that's looking crunchy. More larkspur. I threw a lot of larkspur in this bed. A weed. Oh my God, that's a big weed. There's always a weed. We have some milkweed right here. This is all self-seeded calendula. Like, it really went to town. Like, kind of like almost weedy. I'm a little scared of how much it reseeded, but it's gonna be really pretty, and I didn't have anything to go here this year, so we're just gonna let it go and let it bloom. Another iris, some petunias, nicotiana, a dappled willow. This is what it should look like. Look how pretty those leaves are. And this was from a landscape plug as well. That is a globe thistle. And then this is my delphinium patch. This was so much prettier. Just a couple of weeks ago, I'll have some footage playing of what these looked like when they were in full bloom, but it was stunning. And the two-tailed swallowtails have absolutely loved these. Like, they fly around the property and they just come to the blue ones. They only like the blue ones, but they really have attracted those butterflies a lot. Let's go ahead and do this side as well. We have a hibiscus, a hardy hibiscus that I grew from seed. This is the dinner plate variety. I think it's a Luna hibiscus is what they're called. And this particular one is a white one with a red center in it. There's some thyme right there, which I think is so pretty. It smells so good. Such an underrated ground cover. Iceland poppies right here, which we're letting go to seed. Here's some of that snapdragon. This is the hardy snapdragon. I'm so glad that some of them are in bloom over here. They are so pretty. Look at that. Love them. We have a patch of sunflowers. I don't even know how this happened. How does like a million sunflowers get deposited into one hole? I didn't plant this. This is probably courtesy of my squirrel friends, to be honest. There's a blue fescue right here. That one looks so pretty. Ugh, the color is everything. More Rocky Mountain penstemon back there that literally just grows here. It's our weed. Our weeds in Colorado, I'm telling you, they're penstemon and sunflowers. We have a limelight hydrangea right here. This one was newly planted, but I planted a 3-gallon, so that's why it looks so mature. Cut leaf penstemon right here. A bunch of lupin in the back right there. And then some petunias. Shasta daisies. These are just like the straight Shasta daisy, like not any type of special variety. And I feel like these are so underrated. Like, look at these extra long stems. Could you imagine cutting on that for a cut flower? And I love that they're so tall because then they're almost eye level. Like, here I am, and here is the daisies. Like, normally daisies are really, really short. They're like down here, but these look great. And they're not the sturdiest. I do have to come in and sometimes chop the random branches that kind of get blown around in the wind, but I don't mind that because you can literally just take them in and use them in a vase. So back there we have a David Austin rose that was in beautiful bloom. It's a yellow rose. It's the Pilgrim. I need to go through and deadhead that. We have dianthus tucked in right over here. Clematis growing up the hose reel. More daisies. Feverfew. Oh my gosh, what's the name of this? Tetra white Feverfew, maybe? I love this Feverfew though. It's super doubled and these blooms last forever. I literally have a vase of this in my office and it has lasted at least 2.5 weeks now. We have a lilac right back there. Hardy geranium that's doing really, really well over here with another blue fescue. This one has its nice seed heads on it. We have a purple smoke bush right here. This heuchera is massive. I literally cannot believe the size of that heuchera. I've never seen a heuchera that big before. No idea what the variety is because we purchased it at that garden show. This right here is a red blooming sedum. We have some lady's mantle right here in bloom. I love this plant because when it rains, the leaves look so pretty. And then this is a Jacob's ladder, which is already done blooming. I'm just kind of letting this go to seed, kind of hoping that maybe this will spread around. I'm not sure if this will spread around, but I'm kind of hoping that it does. And then right here, we have a Bloodgood Japanese maple, which is actually doing really, really well right here. This is its second season. Oh, and then we have a big hosta right underneath it. I think that's a Big Daddy hosta. This old mature lilac was here when we moved in, and it was wild. This thing was huge. It had limbs falling like this way, and it was all in the street. So we really did a huge heavy pruning on this. It blooms white. There's one branch on it that blooms dark purple, which I think is so weird. But we kind of gave it a rejuvenation prune, and as you guys can see, that was really successful. Like, look at all this new growth. It's really fleshed back out. So we're gonna definitely still have the lilac here. Okay, let's go through this side really quick. We have the butterfly bush standard right here. Phlox right here. This is just a garden phlox that grows tall and it's like a magenta color. I think this is oregano that is blooming. We have some sage right here and a nice weed with thorns. I don't want to touch that yet. More oregano that's blooming. I love putting herbs in the landscape. I think that they are so pretty. They also add an additional smell when you rub up against them. They just smell so, so good. And you can use them for cooking. more feverfew. And then on the back half of this bed, we have some pansies, some gay feathers that are really starting to come in, and some more petunias. Now let's go to the street side so that you guys can see the front of this bed. And this is the view from the front of the street. So we have the daisies. We have some cone flowers coming in that are so pretty. We have some Rudbeckia. This one I call my special Rudbeckia because I've never seen a Rudbeckia that looks like that. And we grew it from seed and it just happened to look like that. More Shasta daisies. We have the Alaskan cedar right there, the weeping Alaskan cedar. It's put on a lot of new growth this year as well. Really, really love that tree. Yeah, and that's the front of the bed. We have coleus in this container, coleus in that container. This container's not doing as well because it's not on drip. I don't have drip in this bed, so this bed's kind of a struggle. But we try to do everything on drip first before we plant anything up because here in Colorado, if you don't have drip to something, it will die within days, literally. We have a hosta right here, which is so pretty. Another weeping Norway spruce right here. This is a peach drift rose. This is a dwarf Alberta spruce. We have a Dutsia right here. I cannot remember the name of it. Another hosta. There's a couple hostas throughout this bed. And then we have the Kodiak Orange Dervilla right here, which isn't super orange right now, but towards the fall, it does get a little bit more orange. And I love to have a plant here in such dense shade. This is our elm tree, which we've pruned up. When we first moved in, this was like cousin it. It literally was to the ground. And it's starting to grow a lot wider than what we thought. When we first moved into this house, it wasn't over the driveway. It wasn't even over this side, but it's put on a ton of new growth since we've lived here, as far as like width-wise. And we intended to cover this driveway with these redbuds right here. We put some eastern redbuds in that we got from the Arbor Day Society, but now this tree is really starting to do its thing. And so I'm like, I guess we're gonna have two canopies kind of coming into each other. It's gonna be very dense shade over this driveway. Green Mountain boxwood right here. Another hanging basket filled with pansies from the store. This heuchera right here is so pretty. And so is this one. It needs a little bit of trimming, but it does look pretty. We have this pot filled with pansies as well. These ones from the store are just not giving me what the ones that I grew from seed are. Wait, why is that so dry? Oh my God. What? You want to see something beyond frustrating? Why? We just noticed this. This looked pretty just today. I guess my drip is not going off over here because none of the hanging baskets along this fence line look good. They all look like that. I'm so upset, truly, but we're just gonna keep going. We have Rudbeckias right here, which look so pretty, and I love that some of them are small and some of them are big, and there's different colors. There's like ones with dark, there's light, there's completely yellow ones. They are so cheery, and they've reseeded quite heavily, which I love. We have a purple Veronica right here, which I grew from seed. This is stunning, and the bees seem to really, really enjoy this Veronica. And we have more agastache right there and there. It's kind of a half circle of agastache around the Veronica. We have a daisy right here, Shasta daisy. More cone flowers are starting to get into bloom over here. This was Verbascum Southern Charm, and it was absolutely beautiful, but it's kind of going to seed right now. And it's not a super long-lived perennial either, so I want it to reseed heavily, hopefully. We have another Rocky Mountain Pensman, our weed here. And then we have some dianthus. I have a Baptisia right here, which I'm growing from seed, so it's still a little tiny, but I'm really excited that it made it through the winter. More Veronica, some butterfly weed. We have a hollyhock right here. blue fescue grass. This one looks amazing. Now, these seed heads are like so stunning to me. Emerald green arborvitae right here. Another hollyhock that's actually in bloom. We have Colorado mixed yarrow right here. And my favorite tree ever, the flamethrower redbud. This thing is just magnificent. And when I say it's the most asked about plant on our property, it is the most asked about plant on our property. People will stop and just stare at this tree in the middle of the street. It's worth it though. I get why. More yarrow, another blue fescue, some Maynite salvia. These were pink daisies right over here. More delphinium. These are so pretty. I love the color of these ones. These are such true blue. And I feel like there are just not a lot of true blue flowers in the garden. I have a couple of asters in here, which are really, really small because I just grew them from seed this year. There's a grass in here kind of tucked in, kind of getting taken over by all the Rudbeckia. And then we have a wisteria growing on the fence line. And that's pretty much this whole half of the property. Yeah, that's a lot of garden beds. I feel like this is a really, really long video already. So this is probably going to be the end of part one. Maybe we'll go ahead and show you the back alley just super fast. Just to show you guys that we don't just leave our back alley looking ugly. Well, it's got some weeds, but there's a lot of sunflowers coming in all the way down. We also have some Russian sage that's about to start blooming. There's some catmint in bloom. And then we have a couple of pumpkins in the ground as well. But yeah, that's the whole front yard and the grass pathway and what I call the hellstrip of our house. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys for part two, where we'll go through the backyard and this side of our home. I'll see you guys around for whatever video I come up with for next time, which I just told you is going to be the backyard and the side of our home. Bye, guys.